Hello and welcome to Cup of Cosmology, the place for all your questions about the universe. My name is Diana Hooper and I'm a postdoctoral researcher currently at the Helsinki Institute of Physics over at the University of Helsinki in Finland. And I'm a cosmologist. That means that I study the universe, the contents of the universe, how everything evolves, how everything interacts, basically all of the cool things happening inside the universe. I love studying the universe, I love being a cosmologist, and I really like chatting to everyone about all of the cool things happening inside the universe. Hey, David Howden, great to see you. Thank you for being here. I'm glad you were able to come in despite the probably still lack of notifications. But we know that's not going to get fixed anymore, so we just do what we can. But glad to see you here. Glad you were able to join. So I just realized I forgot to disconnect my email, so I still have notifications coming up on the screen. And right amateur today, forgot to do my whole setup, but here we should manage. Let's just roll with it and see what happens, and hopefully everything will go according to plan, which implies I have a plan. So yeah, I'm a theoretical physicist. I study cosmology, which is one of the coolest things to study. I get to answer some of the fun questions like what is inside the universe? How do we know? Where do we come from? What are black holes? What is space? What is time? What are gravitational waves? All of these really cool topics. I love talking about these topics, and I love live streaming and chatting to people about all the cool things happening inside the universe. And yeah, I've been live streaming for 6.5 years now. We've been through some ups and downs and some platform changes. And there is very big news coming, which I know some of you already know and some of you will not be happy with. I myself am not happy with. But I will wait for more people to join before we address that. Hey, David Dunn, great to see you. The answer is yes to everything. Yes, the answer is just yes in general to all of the questions in the universe. The answer is either yes or 42, and we just have to figure out what it is. Glad to see the Twitch connection is working. I know the YouTube connection is working. Hopefully the Twitter one is as well. I wouldn't count on Reddit joining us today, but it is good to see a couple of the regulars here joining me as well. So, I don't have a specific topic planned today. We're just going to wing it and see where we go. Hey, Rohit Paul joining from YouTube. Thank you for confirming that the YouTube connection is also up and running. Great to see you. Thank you. Thank you for being here. It is really nice to have everybody here. So I guess we jump straight into the big changes coming. So as most of you know, I am streaming from a platform called Happs. Now, Happs is a live streaming platform that's been around for about 1.5 years now. I've been on Happs for just over 1 year and 2 months. It's been a very useful platform because it lets me stream out to all of my other places. So anyone watching on Twitch, on Twitter, on YouTube, it's awesome that I'm streaming out to all of these places from Happs. Now, a few days ago, on Thursday, Happs announced that they are shutting down. So, hey Scott, great to see you. I know you probably didn't get a notification. I am not stopping streaming. Let's just jump in straight here. I am not going to stop Cup of Cosmology. Cup of Cosmology is not done. There are still so many things I want to talk to you all about. I still have a list of guests I want on the show. There are still so many things I want to do with Cup of Cosmology. So let's just be clear at the beginning. I am not stopping my live streams, but Happs has announced that they are shutting down. In less than 2 weeks, actually, the Happs platform is disappearing in less than 2 weeks, which means I need to find a new home for my live streams. I need to find a new home for Cup of Cosmology. I don't yet know where I'm moving the show. I don't yet know where I'm going from here. I don't yet know what's going to be the future for Cup of Cosmology. Hey, David, great to see you on the other platform as well, as always. But this is likely to be my last live stream on Happs, which is, it's news that I was very much not happy about. It's something that I think a lot of us suspected. We knew it was coming. I actually sent an email 3 weeks ago asking hey, could I get some kind of reassurance that this is not going to happen? And obviously I did not get an answer to that email, which in itself was an answer. So, Happs is officially shutting down on the 5th of May. I have less than 2 weeks now to figure out where I'm moving to get all of my old streams, to get everything up and running in a new place. Now, as I just said, this is not the end for Cup of Cosmology. Cup of Cosmology outlived Periscope. It will outlive Happs as well. The show started on Periscope 6.5, almost 7 years ago by now. And we outlived Periscope closing down. We moved to Happs. Happs is closing down. We'll manage. the show just moves somewhere else. I'm not yet sure where, when, or what's going to happen with Cup of Cosmology, but I can promise you that it's not going away. So, thank you, Knowledge. A very nice comment there on Twitter that you're glad I'm not going to stop. Yeah, I don't plan on stopping. Honestly, I really love chatting to everybody here. Doing this type of science outreach has made me a better scientist. It's made me a better presenter, a better speaker. And this is one of the things I love the most about being a scientist, is being able to talk to people about all of these cool things, all of these really amazing topics. And, I am immensely grateful to all of you who have been following, however long you've been following me, catching this show. I know some of you have been around since the beginning, 6.5 years ago. Some of you joined recently, and however long you've been watching the show, it's really, really great to have you all here. And I hope you all know that I really appreciate all of the support over the 6.5, 7 years so far. You got to go to a Zoom session? Yeah. Have fun, David, and thank you for stopping by. And yeah, landscape is a must feature. So I know there are some platforms out there that allow me to multicast. So currently, wherever you're watching on, I think I've estimated about a third of my viewers are come from Twitter, about a third of you are on YouTube, and about a third of you are on Happs. So anybody who is watching on Happs, I would ask you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you're watching on Twitter, I also ask you to subscribe to the YouTube channel, because I've just posted the link, but it does appear to be a broken link, because, of course, why wouldn't it be? So, yeah, change is the only constant in the universe. Everything is in constant flux. Everything is constantly changing. I hate change. I very much hate change, but it is what it is. We adjust, we adapt to change, we overcome, we move forward, and we just deal with change. And I'm going to try to make this as painless for everybody else as possible. So if you follow me on Twitter, that's fine. Just keep following me on Twitter. Also, please do subscribe to the YouTube channel, because when I reach 100 subscribers, I can get a cool URL on the YouTube channel. If you're already on YouTube channel, just click the subscribe button. You don't need to do anything else. If you're watching me exclusively on Happs, please do head over to the YouTube channel. Now, I'm not sure, and if you're following me on Twitch, that's awesome. I know I have a couple of you on Twitch as well. I would say, yeah, maybe move over to YouTube as well, because it's just the place where I'm more confident that it's going to be around. So Rohit Paul over on YouTube, I am not stopping my show. I appreciate that you've been watching a short time. It's very nice to have you around, new followers. Great to have you here. My show is not going to stop. I will be on a new platform, but I will still be on YouTube. So I'm not yet sure where my main platform will be, but I do plan on focusing mainly on the YouTube channel. So wherever you're watching from, YouTube is the place to go to follow me now, because I'm not yet sure what I'm going to do. I'm currently considering options like Restream and StreamYard and a few others that basically do this multicasting, because multicasting is an essential part for me. But the two main platforms that I'm going to prioritize are the YouTube channel and Twitter Live. So I'm DC Hooper 91 on Twitter. If you search for Cup of Cosmology on YouTube, you will find the channel. Please do subscribe. Thank you, really, for all of the support and the encouragement that I'm getting here from all of you. It's always really, really, really amazing. So yeah, this is very much, I hope this is not the end for Cup of Cosmology. I hope you'll all follow me over to a new place. And I hope it will be as painless as possible for everyone to just move over to YouTube or to Twitter and follow me there. But there are going to be some bumps and some hiccups, because it's not going to be a seamless transition. Also, I still need to figure out where I'm going to go. I'm still going to figure out, what's new, where we go from here. And it actually comes at a really bad time for me, because I was planning on taking 2 weeks off of Cup of Cosmology, basically starting now. In 2 weeks there won't be Happs. So yeah, there might be a small break, but this was a scheduled break, and then it will give me time to get set up on a new platform, a new place, and I know I will lose most of my followers, but I really hope you will follow me over on YouTube as well, or on Twitter, or on Twitch as well. I will try to keep the Twitch channel going, but for now I can only promise the YouTube and the Twitter ones. How about a world tour too? Yeah, if people want to pay me to tour the world and talk about science, I will not say no to that. On an unrelated note, I was at a science centre last Saturday and saw that person. Yes, this is a science communicator I do not like. But yeah, it is a different format. Hey Molly over on Twitch, great to see you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being here on Twitch as well. So on happier news, now that we have these two comments here about a planetarium and a world tour, there was actually something I wanted to announce, which I was going to announce regardless of this Happs thing and that. And it's something that I'm really, really excited about. I hinted at it on my last stream and now it's confirmed. And I'm really happy about it. So 2 weeks from now, I am giving a public outreach lecture, open to anybody, in the public observatory in Munich. This is absolutely insane to me. This is absolutely incredible. I honestly still don't completely believe it. Do thank you for the awards. I do really appreciate the awards. Now, honestly, I am not sure if I'm going to be able to cash out, so I would say don't. I'm not sure if it's worth using your coins on me. I will try to cash out, but I think I only have like $15, and you need 200 to cash out. So I doubt I'm going to be able to cash out. You can. Okay. Thank you, Doe. That is good to know. I will try. I will definitely try. We'll see. But as always, I really do appreciate the awards. So yeah, 2 weeks from now, I'm going to be giving a talk at an observatory, which is so exciting to me. It's on my list. Like, there are the top places where I want to give a public outreach talk and just chat to people doing science communication. An observatory is up there on my top 3. So this is amazing. If anyone is in the Munich area, please do stop by. I'm not sure if I can live stream it, and the reason I'm not sure if I can live stream it is because it is actually not free entry. Like, people are actually paying to come and hear me talk about the universe, which is insane, incredible, really, really nice, really cool. So I'm not sure. It's up to the observatory if we live stream it or not. I will propose it. We will see. But in any case, it's going to be a lecture on the topics of dark matter and dark energy. I have slides prepared. I need to redo some of my slides. But it's going to be a really cool lecture, and it's my first time ever giving a talk at an observatory. And I remember the first time I went to an observatory years ago, and it is like, this is the place where the cool people go to give talks. And apparently I'm now one of the cool people who's going to go to give a talk at an observatory. And I'm super, super excited about this. It's really, I got the invitation 2.5 weeks ago, and I'm so excited about it. It's now confirmed. I would say, if you're in Munich, please do come by. Last time I checked, which was 2 hours ago, there was only 1 ticket available. So it's almost completely sold out, which is also ridiculous. But yeah, so yeah, it's going to be fun. This may be certified dumb question. Will it be in German? There are no dumb questions. There are never ever any stupid questions here in my show. There are never any stupid questions. You can always ask anything. It's actually one of the rules of my show that there are no stupid questions. It's written on the webpage. Webpage is cupofcosmology.com. If you go there under rules, you will see there are no stupid questions. It's a rule. My talk will actually be in English. I do speak German, but I don't think my German is yet at the level to give an outreach talk in German. That would be ridiculously difficult for me. So it is advertised as an English lecture. So it should be in English, and if anyone's in the Munich area, do let me know, because I will be very excited to see any familiar faces or any new faces there in the Munich Observatory. The talk is Wednesday, 4th of May, which is 10 days from now. 10 days from now, wow. That's incredible. I just realised that in 10 days I'm travelling to Munich again. So nice, that's going to be fun. And it will be my first in-person event in 2.5 years. Like, my first big talk in person in 2.5 years. I think I still know how to give in-person talks, I hope. We'll see. So I'm giving the public outreach talk on Wednesday, and on the Friday I'm giving a conference talk on neutrinos, which is also a topic I love. So it's going to be a very, very, very fun week for me. Two talks in the span of 3 days, but it's going to be great fun. So yeah, I'm very amused by your comment here, David, that it's not the end of Cup of Cosmology, just a phase transition. And I really like that, because phase transitions is something that I'm working on currently. Phase transitions are when the universe changes dramatically from being in one state to being in another state. A lot of things change, but there is some continuity. So as David is saying, this is not the end for Cup of Cosmology, it is merely a phase transition. We are transitioning into something new, don't yet know what. Your German isn't good enough either. Yeah. Yeah, I think I could manage some things in German for a public outreach talk, but not other things. It's also something we find often that when you know science in one language, it's very difficult to change it to another language. Like, I speak Spanish and Catalan fluently, but anytime I talk about my work in Catalan or Spanish, I have to stop and think, like, wait, what's dark matter called in Catalan? Because the words just aren't in my brain. That said, I have done a couple of live streams in Spanish, and I was planning on doing one in Catalan very soon, which we'll see if that actually goes ahead. So not yet sure what's going to happen. But yeah, I have a list of guests, I have a list of topics, and I don't see any reason why Cup of Cosmology should stop, other than it's kind of tiring. But I do think that Cup of Cosmology should continue, at least for now, but I don't yet know where. So if anyone does have suggestions, thank you for the Love Celebration Award, James. I really do appreciate all of the awards. If anyone has some suggestions or recommendations as to where I could move the show, I am happy to listen. So, yeah, dump your Happs wallet, yeah. I've done the same. I've dumped all my Happs coins on a couple of people here. You can only give out awards on Happs for another 6 days. At the end of April, you can no longer use your coins. And then there are 5 days where we can hopefully cash out. And then, yeah, anything that's left on Happs will be gone. All old streams will be deleted. So I now need to download all of my old streams and figure out what to do with them. The good news for those of you following on YouTube is that it's quite likely that all of my... Oh, thank you for the Heart Bomb award, David. That's a very nice award. It's quite likely that all of my old streams are now going to be bulk uploaded to YouTube. So there might be another, like, 30 streams just appearing on YouTube. So hopefully I have a plan now. I'm going to download all my streams, upload them on YouTube. That should keep you through the 2 or 3 weeks while I figure out my new platform. And then in 2 or 3 weeks, I'll be back on a new platform somewhere else, but still going out to the YouTube channel and hopefully still going out to the Twitter channel. Depending on how things go, I might try out just going on YouTube at some point. But I think I'm going to use one of the multicasting things like Restream or StreamYard, and then we'll figure it out. Now, I know a lot of you like giving awards, and honestly, I appreciate your awards so much. And a couple of you have been giving me monthly subscriptions for a while, which I also deeply, deeply, deeply appreciate. So going forward, if you want to do that, which again, thank you, I'm going to set up a Buy Me a Coffee page where you can just do the typical thing of buy me a $3 cup of coffee whenever you feel like it. That should be up and running. Well, it was supposed to be up and running today, but I completely got distracted watching our Flagling's death and completely forgot to set up my Buy Me a Coffee page. Priorities. But that should be up and running in a few days, and I will link to it on the Cup of Cosmology webpage. So if any of you want to continue your sponsorships and your awards, which again, thank you so much, Buy Me a Coffee will be the way to do that with a typical Ko-fi link. YouTube might work. Yeah, YouTube does work. YouTube is the least likely one to close. You know, I think at this point I want a platform that is not going to close on me with 2 weeks' notice, because I went through that with Periscope, and at least Periscope gave us 3 months' notice. So, yeah, a cucumber tea. Incidentally, I know a lot of you saw me rant about the cucumber tea, not the tree. I have to admit that I am actually drinking it again because somehow it has grown on me. And this is like the 6th or 7th one I've had over the last few days. And it's grown on me. So despite my rant about cucumber tea, apparently this is now something that I like. So, new discoveries. Have I thought about a Patreon account? That is a very nice suggestion, Molly, thank you. I have thought about a Patreon account. But I'm not so sure about Patreon for me, because I never want my live streams to feel like an obligation. All of my outreach is like, okay, yeah, I'm motivated to do this. And I feel like if there's a Patreon, there's some expectation that I'm going to deliver things, and I'm not very sure if I can commit to that. So I'm always unsure about Patreon because it feels like it's setting expectations that I'm not sure if I would be able to meet. But it is something that I am considering. It is also something that I've thought about. You like cucumber, lemon, and blueberry tea? I have not tried that one. That sounds interesting. You know, I really like the flavour of blueberries, but I cannot handle actual blueberries because they have a weird texture. But I do like blueberry flavoured things. Twitch is pretty solid. Yeah, I think the thing about Twitch is that you actually have to be on Twitch for it to work. If you multicast out to Twitch, it's very difficult to build up the community on Twitch. Like, I don't know the lingo. I still don't know what the little emotes are for. And I think if I build up Twitch, I should do it exclusively on Twitch. I'm also not sure how big of a market there is on Twitch for science outreach. I only know 1 or 2 other people who have tried it, and it's just not really a platform that appears to be for what I'm doing. But I do have the Twitch account, as you know, you're watching me here on Twitch. So Twitch is definitely one option, but I think I will prioritize YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch is the third one. But I will try to continue the Twitch streams as well. And I saw among all of me ranting and rambling about the future, there's a very cool question from Rohit Paul over on YouTube of, are neutrinos smaller than electrons? Just buzz them in a blender with the tea. Okay. Now that is a cool idea, actually. Just throw a bunch of stuff in the blender, make my own tea. Yeah, I'm going to try that. So are neutrinos smaller than electrons? This is a very cool question. So neutrinos are the smallest particle that we know of that still has mass. So when we... Paul, welcome. Great to see you as always. So you missed the big announcement at the beginning. Short version is Happs is closing in less than 2 weeks, but Cup of Cosmology is not stopping. I'm not done yet. There's still a lot I want to talk about. There's still some guests I want to bring on the show. There's still a couple of people that I really need to get on the show, and I'm trying. I'm going to keep nagging them until they come on the show. But yeah, a Cup of Cosmology is not going anywhere. It will take me a couple of weeks to get Cup of Cosmology up and running properly somewhere new, but it is definitely not the end. You can't stop until physics is solved. Well, I guess I'll always be here then. For anyone who's just joining on Happs now, I've just put the link again to the YouTube channel. I ask you all to subscribe over there because it is the most stable place to watch me going forward. We're going to try to figure out Twitch and Twitter as well, but the YouTube channel is the place to find me in the future. At least for now. Maybe that will change, but for now, head over to YouTube. This is the easiest place to watch me going forward, and you're going to get a bunch of old streams just uploaded to YouTube in the next few weeks. So that's going to be fun. Just going to upload a bunch of them. So, Twitch test coming through loud and clear. Thank you for the test on Twitch test. But yeah, I am seeing comments from Twitch, from Twitter, and from YouTube today, and from Happs, of course. So, within the standard model of particle physics, in fact, I'm going to bring up the picture. I just remembered that I can still do that. I'll take advantage of what has always been one of my favourite features of Happs, is that I can bring stuff up on screen. So what you can see here is the standard model of particle physics. This is all of the particles that we know of that make up the known observable matter in the universe. So this does not include dark matter. It does not include dark energy. So what we see here is everything that we can see, everything we can interact with, everything we can touch, all of the normal baryonic matter in the universe. First off, you can see there are 2 big families. On the right-hand side, you have the bosons, and on the left-hand side, you have the quarks and the leptons, which together make up the fermions. Now, the fermions are the building blocks of the universe, and the bosons tell these building blocks how they fit together. Within the fermions, we have the quarks, up, down, charm, strange, top, bottom. These are the actual ones that cannot be found alone. You always need 2 or 3 of them. And these are really the ones that bind things together. Then you have that give structure to things. Then you have the leptons. Now the leptons can be found alone. And in the leptons we have electron, muon, tau, and then we have the 3 neutrinos, the electron neutrino, the muon neutrino, and the tau neutrino. They are the bottom row here in the standard model of particle physics. So, link may have broken again, but if you search Cup of Cosmology on YouTube, you find it easily. Yeah, thank you for that, David. I know the link sometimes breaks, so thank you for pointing that out. So yeah, the neutrinos it got cut off. Of course it did. Anyway, the neutrinos are the bottom row here on the standard model of particle physics. I hope you can see them. And these are particles that travel almost at the speed of light, but not quite at the speed of light. And this is really cool because the fact that they don't travel at the speed of light means that they have mass, and vice versa. They have mass, therefore they don't travel at the speed of light. And one very, very, very cool thing about neutrinos is that there are thousands, billions of them passing through you every second. If you hold up your thumb, every second, 1 billion neutrinos pass through the tip of your thumb completely unnoticed because they don't interact electromagnetically. They don't interact via the strong force, they only interact via the weak force and probably via the gravitational force. So this means that neutrinos just pass through us unnoticed. But neutrinos have a really, really cool property, and that is that they can change their identity. So neutrinos come in three flavors: the electron neutrino, the muon neutrino, and the tau neutrino. And neutrinos have the funny thing where they change flavor. So you can produce an electron neutrino in the sun, and on its path towards us it will change into a muon neutrino and then into a tau neutrino, and by the time it reaches us it will be one of the three flavors, basically randomly. So yeah, neutrinos are really, really cool. This property of changing their flavor is what we call neutrino oscillations. Because they oscillate, we know that they must have mass, and because they have mass, they cannot travel at the speed of light. So the question was, are neutrinos smaller than electrons? They have very, very, very small mass. The electron has a mass of 0.5 MeV, mega electron volts, over c squared, because we express the energy as a function of mass over c squared. Whereas we express the mass as a function of energy over c squared, because that's Einstein's E equals mc squared. Now, the neutrinos have a mass that is substantially smaller. We have not yet been able to measure the neutrino mass, but we do know that the neutrinos have mass, and this mass must be really, 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 really small. We're still trying to figure out how exactly to measure the neutrino mass, and that is actually what my talk in Munich is going to be about, is how we can measure the neutrino mass using galaxies. Because one cool thing is that you can actually try to you want to weigh these tiny particles, you want their mass, and you can actually do that by using galaxies. Like, you can take a galaxy and use a galaxy to measure the mass of the neutrinos. So what is the qualifier that differentiates the neutrino types? This is a super difficult question to answer, but a super good question, James. It's really what we call family. You can see here that we have these columns. In the first column, we have what we call the first family, then the second family, and the third family. This is true for all of the particles. Now, you can calculate theoretically why there should be 4 particles in a family. You have 12 out of 17. Yeah, I guess you're missing Higgs and the bottom row. I'm sorry, I can't do much about that. It's just Happs resizes things as it wants. It has done since the update, and it's made it very difficult to share images for the last 6 months. But anyway, we won't have that problem anymore. At least all of my complaints about Happs are going to disappear. So what differentiates them being an electron one or a neutrino one, or a muon one, is really the different, what we call flavors, the different types of neutrino. It's kind of like asking what differentiates vanilla ice cream from strawberry ice cream. It's very different, right? It has a different flavor. It's just something that is different. Now, we know that all of these 3 different ones exist. In a reaction where you might produce an electron, you're going to produce an electron neutrino. If you have a muon, you will have a muon neutrino involved. But then these can change, which is very cool. I hope that answers the question. It is a very complex question. Just want to go back to some comments I missed. Comment from Knowledge on Twitter that it's really challenging in public lectures while keeping being active in research. Yeah, thank you. I really do appreciate all of your feedback and comments, and as always, I really appreciate all of you sticking with me throughout the years and sticking with Cup of Cosmology. Let's see, other questions I missed, perhaps for another occasion, but I've never understood how electron volt is a measure of mass. Right, let's go into this briefly. So an electron volt is actually a measurement of energy. It's the energy that we have. I always forget the definition, but it is actually a measurement of energy. And you can convert this into joules if that's your preferred energy. Now, when we talk about the mass of a particle, what we actually mean is its rest mass. So if the particle were not moving, how much energy would it have just because it has some amount of mass? Now, Einstein taught us that E equals mc squared. Energy equals mass times the speed of light squared, which means the mass of an object can be converted into energy and vice versa. So when we talk about electron volts, what we mean is it's a type of energy. Now, rather than measuring this in kilograms, because the mass of the proton would be something like 10 to the minus 27 kilograms, this is very, very small. So instead we use this electron volt as a unit of energy to express the mass. So instead of saying the proton has a mass of 10 to the minus 27, what we say is the proton has a mass of about 1 GeV. which is actually on GV over c squared. We just always drop the c squared. Then you can plug in c squared, which is the speed of light, and get an actual value in kilograms if you want. But because we're used to dealing with them as energy rather than as matter, they are a form of matter, but it's just much easier to express this in terms of energy. I hope that answers the question. It is a difficult question to answer. Okay, let's go back up. There was another great question there from Paul. It looks like gluons are also massless, so would travel at the speed of light. Do they go anywhere or just stay local between the particles they glue? This is an excellent question, Paul. So gluons can travel at the speed of light. In fact, they do travel at the speed of light because we know that everything that is massless travels at the speed of light. However, gluons are usually bound up together. You can have gluons propagating, but gluons are the ones that carry the strong force. And the strong force is ridiculously strong, as the name implies. So usually, when you have a proton, what you actually have is 3 quarks and a bath of gluons that are holding it together. And gluons don't really travel in the same way as other particles do. They are really connectors. So it is a great question and a difficult one to answer. Gluons can travel at the speed of light because they are massless. And if you produce them in some reaction, they could travel. But usually a gluon will travel to the next quark and bind them together, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, gluons are the glue that binds stuff together. They're the reason that we have protons. They're the reason that we actually have anything. And it's also, the strong force is also why, any nuclear fission is ridiculously strong. Question from Scott, am I the longest subscriber here at the moment? You might be. So I know I've had a few subscribers right from the beginning. I know Paul was also very early on. But Scott, I think you joined not long into the Periscope days. So I know Abyss was one of the first ones, but I don't think he's in the room here today. Will all the baryons in the universe decay into smaller particles after a long, long time? This is also a great question. Now, I'm not sure if you caught my stream last week, because last week was all about this whole standard model of particle physics and everything inside the universe. So last week we actually talked about things decaying. A lot of things will decay into smaller things, like a top will decay into a charm might decay into an up. They always go into the first generation. It's just energetically more favourable. Now we know that protons can decay. As for neutrons, that's what we're not sure about. So there are a lot of baryons that can decay, but we're not completely clear if all baryons decay. The proton half-life, or the time it takes protons to decay, is ridiculously big compared to the age of the universe, so it's also not something we need to worry about too much. But things can decay, but yeah, in general, everything can decay, but we're pretty sure that we don't need to worry about proton decay wiping out the universe, for example. Even though you'd heard E equals mc squared as a child, I didn't understand mathematical notation, and the first time I read it, I thought it was pronounced like MIG2. Yeah, this is fine, but sometimes we don't understand equations, we don't understand math, and that is fine. Here's a fun fact that most people don't know. A lot of scientists are really bad at math. A lot of people have the idea that to be a scientist, you need to be ridiculously good at math. If you give me a probability question, I will have fun with that. I love statistics, I love probability. If you give me a calculus question, I'm going to stare at it like, well, I learned how to do that in my undergrad. Math is complicated, especially with the way math is taught. Math is taught in a way to make you dislike math, which is ridiculous because mathematics is an extremely elegant and nice thing. But it's taught in a way that is not easy to learn, it's not easy to deal with. People think that to be a scientist, you need to be great at math, and that is fundamentally false. And, I might be destroying the image you have of scientists here, and that is good, because that is part of the point of the show. Most scientists need to think about math. It doesn't come as naturally to us as a lot of people think. Frequently, if I'm reading a paper and I encounter an equation I've never read before, my brain will just go equation and jump to the next line. And I have to force myself to go back and actually read what that equation is telling me. And this is true for a lot of people. So if you struggle with maths, that is fine. If you struggle with mathematics and want to be a scientist, that is also perfectly fine. welcome to the club. A lot of us are in this situation. Some things about mathematics are amazing, like probability statistics, group theory, game theory, all of these things are fun. And some of mathematics is just like, oh god, this is an equation, help me, what do I do with this? It's also fine. You get why something with mass cannot go at light speed. Why must anything without mass travel at light speed? Are slower weightless particles impossible? That is a good question. I think the idea here is that if something has mass, it would require infinite energy to accelerate it to the speed of light. But something that doesn't have mass can easily be accelerated to the speed of light. So does everything that is massless have to travel at the speed of light? I would say yes, maybe. Now I'm doubting. I would have said yes. But yeah, it is a great question. So can you have slower weightless particles? I would say no. I would say that if it's massless, it travels at the speed of light. Although we always say the opposite. If it's traveling at the speed of light, it must be massless. Can a massless particle not travel at the speed of light? Yes, of course. Of course. I'm sorry. If it's because we're always talking about the speed of light in a vacuum. As soon as you travel through something that is not a vacuum, you slow down. Light traveling through the atmosphere is slower than light traveling in a vacuum. So you can have massless particles that do not travel at the speed of light. Absolutely. I got a bit lost there, so just to recap. So if something travels at the speed of light, it has to be massless. If something is massless, it doesn't necessarily have to travel at the speed of light. It can travel slower. You can slow it down. Slowing down photons is, this is what lead does. You try to shine a photon through lead, it's not going to go through. It slows down, gets stopped. So yes, we can say that anything traveling at the speed of light must be massless, but massless things do not necessarily travel at the speed of light. So back to the question of gluons. Gluons could hypothetically travel at the speed of light, but they don't have to. Ooh, took us a while, but we got there. See, this thinking things up on the moment, this is half of what cup of cosmology is, just trying to come up with answers on the spot. Could a neutrino travel between the nuclear... Oh, my Happs just scrolled as I was reading a question there. Could a neutrino travel between the nuclear and electron of an atom with no interference? Now, the thing here is that the neutrino only interacts via the weak force. So electrons interact via the weak force. It could interact with an electron, but it would pretty much... Then there's the big question of what do we mean between the nucleus and the electron. Because we have this picture sometimes of like the nucleus and an electron going around it. This is quite a bad picture. It's useful to have a first idea of what an atom looks like. But really we actually have like a fuzzy cloud in the middle, which is the nucleus, surrounded by an even fuzzier cloud that is the electron. So it's quite hard to define exactly what we mean as the distance or travelling between the nucleus and the electron. But in general, neutrinos can travel very, very long distances without interacting with anything. So they could travel very, very close to atoms without affecting them in any way. We've been in many, many machine shops, and I'm constantly surprised at how bad at math most people I deal with are. Most people are bad at math, yeah. And this is the thing that, math is an acquired skill, and I think the way it's not taught in a way, in most places that I've been, it's not taught in a way where people find it easy or understandable, and that is perfectly fine. What I personally don't like is when people say, like, oh my god, I hate math. I get it, I really do, but also it's useful, it's necessary for a lot of things, and not everyone is good at math, and that is perfectly fine. Not everyone needs to be. So, you're always going to find some people who are good at stuff, some people who are bad at stuff. It's just the way it is. So pre-Higgs boson, was everything going at light speed? Excellent question. Pre-Higgs boson, everything was massless. What did the universe look like before the Higgs turned on? Well, that's an interesting question. Do we really know what the universe looked like before the Higgs turned on? Well, we can theoretically describe it as everything being massless. There was... Let me think of the history of the universe. What was happening when the Higgs turned on? Yeah, it's one of the very early periods in the universe. Everything before that was massless until the Higgs boson, the Higgs field turned on and started giving everything mass. Were things Were things traveling faster than the speed of light at that point? Maybe. I'm not sure. I think it's quite hard to know exactly what the universe looked like before the Higgs turned on, but we are working on figuring that out and figuring out, what happened to the universe when the Higgs turned on, what happened when we broke symmetries and when there were phase transitions in the early universe. Ironically, sound travels faster the denser the medium. Yeah, it's because sound is a pressure wave, and light is not a pressure wave, it's an electromagnetic wave. So this is really cool. And one way I like to think about this is that pressure waves, imagine you have a stack of dominoes, or you just scatter some dominoes on the floor, and you want to knock them over. Like you have 100 dominoes scattered there, and you want to knock them all over. Now, if there's a big distance between the dominoes, you can knock the first one over and nothing's going to happen. It's not going to move. But if they're quite close together, you touch the first one and they're all going to fall down. Now, bear with me here. When we're talking about sound waves or pressure waves, they travel by vibrating in the medium. And they need the particles that they're vibrating to be close together in the same way as dominoes. So if you have a very, very, I was going to say an undense. So if you have a material that is not at all dense, there's a very big gap in between the particles. So the sound wave, the pressure wave, can't propagate because it doesn't really move from one to the other properly. Whereas if you have a dense material where everything is tightly stacked, like dominoes very closely together, it's very easy to get a pressure wave to travel through it. This is really cool because sound is a pressure wave, so the closer together things are, the easier it is for it to travel. Whereas light is an electromagnetic wave, and it travels freely. Now you need something that can kind of absorb this photon to stop it from traveling. So it is cool, they are very different waves. And that was a complete tangent there, but I thought it was an interesting thing because it allowed me to use this domino analogy, which is always a fun one to use. Questions are blowing your mind today. That's great. Glad to hear that. Always glad to hear people enjoying the questions, especially when I come on without a topic. Like, this is completely improvised today. Someone recently described my show as improvisation. It's like, yeah, honestly, that is what it is. Some days I come with a topic, some days this is completely improvised. Today is one of the latter ones. They're not perfectly round, smooth spheres. No, atoms are not round, smooth spheres. Round, smooth spheres. Round, smooth spheres. Oh, there's a tongue twister. What is quantum tunneling? Where and when does it occur? Oh, great question. Great question. Okay, so actually, I have a picture for this. I have a picture here ready. So, two things we need to know, first of all, about quantum tunneling. The first thing is that the universe likes not spending energy. The universe is lazy. Everything likes being in its minimum energetic states. This is cool. If a particle can be in a high energy state or a low energy state, it will always tend to be in the low energy state. So this is one thing that we need. Things always like to be in the lower states. Now imagine you have a potential well. This is like an energy well. And particles can roll down this potential. They can roll down the well. So imagine they roll down and find a minimum. They're rolling down this hill. They find a minimum. Okay? Now, this is good. They found a minimum. They're going to stay there because they're at their lowest energy. But imagine if then there's actually a bigger minimum. So you're actually in a fake minimum or a false vacuum state that we might call it, where it looks like you're at the minimum, but really you could roll down a bit further. So the picture that I don't even need to draw because I'm just reusing it from an old stream. You see here, here's the idea. You have a particle that's rolling down and it finds its minimum here. But then there's a true minimum over here. Now, in order for the particles to go from here to their true minimum, they would need to roll up the hill and down again. And this rolling up the hill is going to use energy. So, most of the time, the particles are going to stay here because they don't have the energy needed to go up here and then go down again. I know that the camera is not really happy with trying to focus on this. Let's see if it stays focused now. Hopefully it will focus. So what quantum tunneling is instead of going up and then down, occasionally, if you wait long enough, a quantum fluctuation can make these particles tunnel through this barrier down here, where they can then roll into their new metastable state, their new stable state. So quantum tunneling is this process where a particle that seems to be in a minimum can actually jump to its true minimum without needing the energy barrier here that it has to travel across. So it skips this energy barrier by tunneling through to its lower level. Now, the reason this is so interesting is because that's the kind of chart you can do without Happs. Yeah, I actually drew this chart some time ago when Happs still didn't have the possibility of sharing images right after the relaunch. So I had this drawn here. I always have this notebook next to me to take notes during Happs streams, and I always forget. And I actually had this image still open, so that's why it's here. And I don't need Happs to do this. Now, the reason quantum tunneling is very interesting is because it's something that can happen. We know there is a small chance that something can quantum tunnel. And that leads me to the very, very, very interesting idea, which is one of my favourite topics. Now, the Higgs field is currently in what we call, could be in what we call a metastable minimum. Now, this means that it could be in a minimum, but not its true minimum. Now, the Higgs field, as we were saying just now, is the particle that is the one responsible for everything having mass. The Higgs field is everywhere in the universe, and it really drags everything else around. It gives everything else mass. Any changes in the properties of the Higgs field would have dramatic consequences for the universe, like really dramatic. It would trigger a phase transition that could have very dramatic consequences. Oh, thank you for the love celebration award, David. I really do appreciate it. So, and for the heart bomb award. So, if we have, drop all your awards here. Thank you. I will try to cash out with Happs. I'm not sure if I'll be able to. But please just drop all the coins, and I will try to cash out. Now, if the Higgs field is metastable and not on its true minimum, it could be that at some point the Higgs field quantum tunnels to its new actual true minimum. Now, this is a random process that could happen at any point. And if this happens, anywhere in the universe, the Higgs field quantum tunnels to its new stable state. This would produce a bubble. Oh, thank you, David, and Paul for all of the awards. I really do appreciate them. This will create a bubble of a new Higgs field, where there are new properties of the universe. You understand quantum tunneling now? Awesome, thank you. That's always so nice to hear that you understand it. If I've helped you understand the concept, that's exactly what I intend to do with this show. So thank you. So if the Higgs field quantum tunneled into a new vacuum state, it would create this bubble of of the new phase of the Higgs field. And within this bubble, the laws of the universe would be completely different. And this bubble would expand at the speed of light, because once one part of the Higgs field has found the minimum, it is going to drag everything else down to the minimum as well. And this expanding bubble, if it hits us, it would destroy us in the fraction of a second. Anything that this expanding bubble hits would be wiped out. It's the delete button on the universe. It completely changes the laws of physics. And this is known as an expanding bubble of death, basically, because it would wipe out everything in its path. So if the Higgs is metastable, and if at some point a quantum tunnels to its real stable state, this will create a bubble of death expanding at the speed of light, traveling outwards and wiping out anything it comes across. Anything it encounters, it would wipe out. And the cool thing is, this could have happened already somewhere in the universe. And we could have this bubble of death heading towards us now. We would have no way of seeing it coming. We wouldn't see it coming. There's nothing we could do about it, and we would have no warning. It would just suddenly destroy the universe. And this is really cool to think about. I know this sounds nihilistic. Like at any point, the universe could just blink out of existence due to a quantum tunneling effect that drags everything with it into a new stable state. But this is kind of cool when you think about it. Life is not a certainty. The universe is not a certainty. The universe could blink out of existence at any point. But you could also blink out of existence. People die every day. Unfortunately, this is something that happens. We are a finite species. We do not have an infinite amount of time. So yeah, thinking that the universe is going to end randomly at some point, or could end randomly at some point, is scary. But life could end randomly at some point. We just have to make the most of our time here. And honestly, I find it kind of encouraging. Not really encouraging, but I always think it's nice to think about the fact that the universe is also not a certainty. We are an uncertain species here on the planet, but also we are in an uncertain universe, which is really cool. The good news is, if you found this very scary, the good news is we don't think that this quantum tunneling of the Higgs field is going to happen anytime soon. It might happen, but it's quite unlikely. But it is a cool thing to think about if you don't want to sleep at night. And I love talking about the vacuum death. It's always a fun topic. So I think I missed a question there. Are we talking about vacuum decay? Absolutely. And thank you everyone for all the coin dumps. I do appreciate it. How to find out how many hearts you have to give. So if you go when you're not watching the stream, it should tell you when you give out coins. When you give me awards, it should tell you how many you have left. But otherwise, you go to your profile, you go to settings, and then you go to wallet, and then you'll see how many coins you have. They made it very, very, very difficult to find that, and then wondered why people stopped buying coins. But I'm not going to rant about Happs today. You won't pay your taxes this year then. Don't blame me for that. Don't blame me. Like, I'm not paying my taxes because Diana said the universe might end at some point. So, YOLO. Please don't do that. Don't blame me for that. But, yeah. The universe is not a guarantee, but neither is tomorrow. So enjoy today when you can. Eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we quantum tunnel to a new Higgs state. Yeah, if that's your life motto, if that helps you get through everything, why not? Thank you, Paul, over on YouTube. It's been great to have you here. I really do appreciate all of your questions and comments, and I hope to see you again on the YouTube channel soon. More awards. Thank you, everyone, for the awards. Really, I do appreciate your awards. Just remember that every horrible scenario has a non-zero chance of occurring. Yeah. What is the half-life of a Hoover? I'm very confused by that question. Does a Hoover have a half-life? What is a Hoover in this context? I'm not really sure what you mean with that question, David Dunn, because Hoover in British English is vacuum. Ah, right, you were making a vacuum joke. Okay, I was just thinking like a vacuum cleaner. I was very confused by that. So for anyone who missed it, the big news is Happs is closing down. We knew this was coming. It's disappointing. I woke up to the news on Friday morning and I knew it was coming, but it still hit me hard. And I honestly still haven't fully processed the fact that Happs is closing down. I get why. It's a business decision. Happs has always made business decisions, and I'm not going to rant about it. I'm not going to badmouth Happs because there's absolutely no point. But Happs is closing down. Cup of Cosmology is not. I don't know. Thank you, Paul, for all of the coins. I really do appreciate it. So, yeah, Happs is closing down. Whatever my thoughts about it, there's just no point ranting or complaining because it's not going to change the fact that Happs is closing down. Cup of Cosmology will continue. I'm not yet sure where. It's going to take me a while to get up and running in somewhere new. So the easiest place to follow me now is on the YouTube channel. If you go to YouTube, look for Cup of Cosmology. That's where you'll find me. So I'm going to be on YouTube. I'm going to be on Twitter. I will try to keep the Twitch platform alive as well, or at least my Twitch profile alive. I'm going to look into things like Restream or StreamYard. I'm not completely sure where I'm going to land. But the easiest way to find me in the future is going to be on the YouTube channel. Please do subscribe to the YouTube channel, Cup of Cosmology on YouTube. Please do subscribe to the YouTube channel. Whatever ends up happening, that is the place where you'll go most likely to find Cup of Cosmology. Once I'm up and running in a new place, I will obviously let everyone know, and I will need everyone's help to build up the community again, because every time I change platform, it guts my user base. It's starting again. I know a lot of you will follow me over, and I do really appreciate that. I know not everyone will. And I had to do it with Periscope of building up my following again. I had to do it when Happs came out with the improved new release 6 months ago. I had to build up the following again. And I will do it again. It's just going to take a while. So, yeah, I don't know where Cup of Cosmology is going, but I know this is not the end for Cup of Cosmology, because there's still so much more that I want to do. I have a list of topics, I have a list of potential guests. There are people in my office who have agreed to join. We just need to fix a date. There are cool things I want to do with Cup of Cosmology, so this is not the end. This is definitely not the end for me. Now I have 3 left. Yeah. I think if you only have 3 coins left, you can't give them. I think you need at least 10 to give them out or something like that. But yeah, follow me on YouTube going forward. Is that because it's not very bright? The colour sensors of the eye need more light than black and white ones. I'm not sure what that was a response to, but that seems cool. Ah, there it is. I missed that question. I saw a picture of Venus on Twitter saying it is white and grey to human eye. Is there colour in space with regard to visible light? Yes, then I go with the answer that David Howden gave there. It's because it's not very bright. The colour sensors in the eyes need more light than the black and white ones, yes. You can always hear the latest from me on Twitter, exactly, as Paul is saying there. You can follow me on Twitter, DCHooper91. That's where you'll get all updates, anything happening with Cup of Cosmology, with me, and pretty much everything. Just follow me on Twitter. This is my main space of communicating with everyone on Twitter. I'm on YouTube. As always, if you want to know anything about Cup of Cosmology, the best place is the webpage, cupofcosmology.com. You can't go wrong. Cupofcosmology.com always has links to wherever I am. It has the schedule announced, and it has highlights and an About Me page. As I mentioned before, for anyone who wasn't around, I know some of you give me monthly subscriptions here on Happs. I really appreciate it. It does mean a lot to me. Obviously, that is going to stop now. I am going to set up a Buy Me a Coffee page, a Ko-fi one. That should be up and running within a few days, and after that, if anyone wants to buy me a coffee at any point, you just go to the page whenever and however often you want. So I will link to that on cupofcosmology.com as well. And it will all be linked on the webpage and on Twitter. So yeah, follow me on Twitter, DCHooper91, for updates. Follow me on YouTube, Cup of Cosmology channel on YouTube, in order to catch all future streams whenever they may be. So as I mentioned, I have this super cool thing coming up. Beginning of May, where I'm giving a talk in the Munich Observatory, which is amazing to me. So yeah, and then I'm giving a conference talk 2 days later, so I'll be in Munich. So my plan, which was already the plan before Happs's big announcement, is when Diana has spare time between platforms, they might finally finish that rap album they promised to release as DC Hoops. Yeah, DC Hoops in the club. I've been joking this week because there is a new streaming platform that is basically Happs repurposed and rebranded, probably to get rid of some negativity. But there is a new platform called Reach.me, which is exclusively targeted to musicians. Again, I'm not gonna get into it, but I was joking that what I need to do is start writing songs about dark matter and about the CMB, and then rebrand myself as like an artist who talks about space, because that's more marketable than being a scientist. But yeah, that rap album was DC Hoops. Maybe someday. But yeah, lots of tangents, lots of off-topic comments there. But yeah, next weekend, I wasn't planning on doing a live stream because it's the 1st of May, International Workers' Day, George the Cat's birthday, apparently. Chosen book. And it's a big holiday here in Finland. I'm not really sure what happens on the 1st of May. So far, I've been invited up onto a roof, and I've been told about parties and picnics, but I'm not completely sure what I'm going to be doing next Sunday, but I'm probably not going to be doing a live stream. And then the weekend after that, I'll be in Munich, so also no, May Day. Vappu here in Finland, Vappu, I believe it's pronounced, no idea. But yeah, next weekend is a holiday, and the weekend after I'll be in Munich. So I was planning on taking a 2-week break from Cup of Cosmology, and then coming back on the 8th of May. No, not the 8th. I just said I wouldn't be around on the 8th of May. On the 15th of May. So I was planning on taking a break until the 15th of May. However, depending on how things go, no live reports from Munich. See, I land in Munich on the Wednesday. On the Wednesday evening, I'm giving a public outreach talk. Thursday, I'm meeting people, and there's already drinks and dinner planned. Friday is a conference day, and there's also a conference dinner planned. So I think that's pretty much me covered the whole Munich day. And Saturday, I'm actually going to go out and explore Munich a bit. So I'm not sure if I'll do a stream from Munich. I doubt it. But given that Happs is closing down in 10 days, maybe I decide to come back on for one more out of sync stream. If I do that, I will advertise it on Twitter in advance, because I know you won't get the notifications on Happs. They're not going to bother fixing that. So yeah, thank you, David, for the takeover. That's really kind of you. I do really appreciate all of your words. So yeah, maybe I do a spontaneous stream in the next few days. Not too spontaneous because I'll warn everybody on Twitter. So again, follow me on Twitter to be warned in advance. Follow me on YouTube to get the notification that I'm live because you won't be notified on Happs. Maybe I do a spontaneous stream on Saturday next week or on Friday next week. But for sure, I'll be back online in 2 weeks on somewhere new, trying something new. Not in 2 weeks, sorry, in 3 weeks, on the 15th. And I hope you'll all follow me over to wherever we go next. I do want to end on a happy note. So, Happs closing down is a huge blow. I'm annoyed, I'm upset, I'm disappointed. A lot of emotions about Happs closing down that I'm not going to get into because it's just not worth it. But I've made some amazing friends on Happs. I've met some amazing people. So a lot of you here I've met on Happs. That we've formed a network of scientists that we still stay in touch all the time. And I've really, really, really enjoyed my time on Happs. And despite the slightly not the end that we weren't hoping for, it's been a really fun journey. So, as always, I want to send all my appreciation to the Happs community team, Pablo, Peter, Lucia. They've always been there to help. Whatever else has happened at Happs, that's always been a constant. And to everyone who I've met on Happs and to everyone who's here on Happs with me, it's been fun. It's been emotional. Where's the quote from? It's been emotional. Is it Lockstock? Snatch? Which one is that? It's one of those two films. Anyway, complete brain off on a tangent there. It's been emotional. 1 year, 3 months on Happs for me. It's been great. I'm ending on a Happsy note. Yes, I am indeed. So, and just an offhand comment, and I don't mind so much, but just in general, I do actually prefer they, them pronouns. I know a lot of you use she, her for me. That's fine. I don't make a point of correcting people, but just in general, I do actually prefer they, them pronouns. I am non-binary. Just putting that out there. I don't want anyone to feel bad about it, just putting it out there. But yeah, it's been a great journey on Happs. It's been great for Cup of Cosmology, it's been great for me, and I hope everyone's enjoyed following me here on Happs. And I hope you'll all follow me wherever Cup of Cosmology lands. On YouTube, on Twitter, on Twitch, wherever we end up. I hope to see you all there as well. And whenever that may be, hopefully you'll all join me there. And in the meantime, I hope you all stay safe and take care of